It's time to talk about Las Vegas with Ira. Each week, Ira David Sternberg talks with the celebrities, entertainers, writers, and personalities who make Las Vegas the most exciting city in the world. And now, here's Ira.
Anything you want us to be, bring us your fantasy, LV.
Indian Lake, We Can Fly, Hair, I Love the Flower Girl, The Rain, the Park, and other things. Sound familiar? Well, they should. They are some of the hits of my guests, the Cowsills, Bob, Susan, and Paul. The group will be performing Friday, January 27th at 8 p.m. at the Golden Nugget Las Vegas. For ticket information, go to goldennugget.com. And for everything about the Cowsills, go to cowsills.com and you can follow them on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And Bob, Susan, and Paul, welcome to the show.
Ira, thanks for having us.
Viva Las Vegas.
Yeah, can't wait. So excited, might even zip line.
Oh, yes, a zip line downtown.
Maybe this is the year I zip line down whatever that street is y'all got
Oh,
going.
wow.
Street.
Hey, I went on the roller coaster around the New York hotel one time during the day. I said, hey, that was fun. So I did it at night. I never did it at night again.
Now, even though you guys there's 3-1 here, but I'm not going to let you overpower me. I'm going to still take
Yes, sir.
control of the conversation. Thank you, Susan. Oh, by the way, it's the best looking of the three of you. I want to say that for the record.
Well, thank you so
Thank
much.
you. I appreciate
Ira.
that compliment.
That's why
Thank
they keep me
God.
around.
And one other quick note is that because there's so many of you on here, I hope the Zoom fire marshal has cleared this because I've never had this many people on before. So
We're going to be so well behaved. Watch on the count of three. Good behavior is in place. One,
very good. No,
two,
have fun. Oh, where, I don't know. I'm sure this has been asked of you, but I have to ask it because it's so funny. Some of your songs are very evocative. And as soon as you hear it, you're in a good mood. But where did the name Cowsills originate from? In other words, is it a family name that goes back generations, or was it just perfect for the 60s? I'll let any of you answer or all of you answer.
I'd like to introduce Susan Cowsill, our genealogist of the family, Susan, if you don't
Thank you,
mind.
Bob Cowsill, the elder
Hi.
and co-founder of the Cowsills. Okay, so Cowsill is originally an English name. It's our father's surname, therefore our surname. And so I guess we just thought it made sense, you know. I mean, the Lennon sisters, the Ames brothers, I thought that probably for dad and crew was a no-brainer. And plus, it's a pretty trippy name. So it is English, although dad was half Irish and Scottish. And if you'd like to know more, go to my ancestry page.
Yeah, and by the way,
Polly's got something.
it comes from the Cow Hill area of England, historically in the 1200s. I made up the century.
Okay, so therefore, if you want to do
You're very close.
if you want to do an oldies album, you could do the Cow Hills then.
Yes.
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny, Ira, because at the very beginning of this action, you know, I remember names being thrown out, the seven
Yes, of course.
C's. There were all sorts of things, and then it ended up being Cowsill, and it kind of works for us, you know.
The Beatles were taken as a name, so you couldn't use that.
Well, correct.
We
May
thought
I
of
ask-
leaving we thought of taking it and just leave the E in, but that wasn't going to work either.
But listen, please, and this happens a lot, Ira. So I find out stories that I didn't know about. I had never heard in my entire 63 years that we had any kind of other possible name. If you can remember too, for real, what they are, I'd be so excited. Guys,
Well, honestly, Paul said the one I remembered. That's and the only one I can't. But there were others. But the seven C's.
I love that.
Yeah,
That is so cool.
Yeah, and I think
Okay,
Ladies and
sorry.
gentlemen, the 7 C's.
maybe the C's. I don't know, Paul. The C's possibly.
No,
But
no,
anyway,
the 7 seas. We lived on the ocean, for crying out
Yeah.
loud. It's clear. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. I'm hijacking. Go, Ira.
That's okay. I have 3 of the
It
7
actually was
C's
the
with me
Cowsill.
today, so that's okay. Before we even talk about a bunch of stuff, your album, it's the first one released in nearly 30 years, Rhythm of the World. How did that finally come about? Because, hello, 30 years went by. What's the deal here?
Boy, we were out on the Happy Together tour, and you know, Susan for years has been trying to get us to at least make one more studio album, and that was when Billy and Barry were still alive, and then they passed away, and Susan kept harping on it, and so eventually we wrote like these 11 songs, you know, out on the road, out on the Happy Together tour, on buses, in dressing rooms, in hotel rooms.
In front of the TV.
Yeah, in front of the TV, and we
for
came up
3
with these
months.
11 tunes. And what do you do when you write a song? You got to record it. And so
Hello?
that's kind of how we happened in there.
Are you looking at another one now? Now that you've waited 30, you're not going to wait another 30 years, but do you think another 2 years and another one will come out?
Well, acknowledging there will be future product, we are certainly not focused on the next of anything. We're focused on this and
Gotcha.
Rhythm of the World and our podcast and our performances and our plan that's underway to market ourselves and keep going up this curve we seem to have gotten an ascension on. So we're going to keep going and focus on all of this.
Before we talk about the Golden Nugget appearance, or actually the performance, I should say, not appearance. It's not like you're coming and signing books. You're actually performing. So, but one other quick question about your podcast, because I always like my guests to talk about some of their other projects. So how did that start? Was it due to the pandemic? And then tell us some of the guests you've had on, because I've seen the list. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Actually, our executive producer, Rock Positano, that was his good idea.
Did you say that 3 times real fast?
Rock Positano.
Okay, pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. And anyway, he suggested it to us. He said, you guys are going to be able to hit a lot of people if you do a podcast. And man, the last thing me and Bob wanted to ever do was a podcast. We actually thought it was a blog or something. But
point out for the audience that Paul is the least technological of the 3 of you.
Well, I don't know about that.
Maybe me.
No, I don't know.
Me, Ira.
Paul, and
Listen, that's a race to the bottom with the 3 of us.
Okay,
Okay,
fair enough.
right. Yeah.
Paul does know how to
Great
use
line.
email, so that's pretty good.
Get that. Hey, but listen,
and Ira, I was.
and one
I was
point
just-
about Rock, Rock Positano, he said, we're doing nothing in the shutdown. And we had met him earlier and hooked up with him. The first, and I just noticed it just now, so I want to mention it. The first 5 letters of his name is the first 5 letters of the word positive. And I never noticed that. But anyway, onward and forward.
Really liked it. You like
that was
hijacked the whole thing
that
to
was
say
very
that makes me
uninteresting,
happy.
Bob.
That
See,
was very
Susan-
uninteresting. Thank you, Ira.
That comment about that you never noticed that before. I just thought I'd throw that in just as a joke. It was-
This
I
is
like
fun.
any-
Ira, I do want to mention one thing.
Yes.
When you ask a question and I'm answering it, if
Yeah.
you interrupt me, then I forget what we were even talking about. So don't interrupt me because I won't remember the question.
And Ira,
Yeah.
you'll watch Paul, Bob and I, like if we're talking and Paulie's going like this, like I'll start pointing at him like there's a fire happening in the lower
Right.
left. But it's
Exactly.
just because I know Paul is ready now to tell what he's thinking. So it's it's you learn that when you podcast.
The hard
with a
part
guy.
having the 3 of you on, and it's a delight to have the 3 of you on. But I noticed when Bob finished something, and I was doing an attempt at humor, but Susan stepped on it because she was right there. She's very quick.
Happens all the time. And that was one of my gripes on the podcast, that Zoom technology needs to catch up with my quick wit.
Yeah, you're right. Because we can't sing together on
And
this
that.
Zoom. He said, hey, could you sing a song? We cannot because of the delay and all the other stuff.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. All 3 of you are of an age that remember when there was Ma Bell, and you had, I don't get overly technical, but you could crosstalk over each other on the landline, and it's no problem. It's just like being in
Right.
person. Ever since cell phones, and when they deregulated the phone system, there's a history lesson. And
Boo.
now we have Zoom, which is wonderful, but it's very hard to do a crosstalk situation and make it sound natural.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Cool.
Bob. I
Yeah.
don't want to step on you from before. Go ahead. I know you have something you wanted to say.
No, he said it.
That was it?
Uh-huh. That if you don't let
Bro,
him say
what
what
was
he's
it?
saying, he won't say it. That's what
He
he
thought
wanted
you
to
had
say.
something more to say, Paul, and because it got interrupted.
No,
Got you. Well, I don't even know what I was talking about though now. So let's move forward.
Okay, Paul, let me check something really quick. You are a member of the Cowsills. You remember them, right?
Oh, we aren't there yet.
Okay.
Oh, stop that.
Are the dynamics the same for the 3 of you? What I mean by that is Susan's always going to be the younger sister, right?
Yes.
Mathematically, yes.
Yes. Well, what I
Um,
mean by that is that you're going to try to bully her and she's going to give you a hard time.
Oh,
Oh,
in that way, yes, also.
Yes.
I wouldn't use that B word because I'm very familiar with it, and it never came up from these guys. Well, no, there was one who had, well, maybe there were a couple, but here's the deal. My little sistership was not like other people's little sistership. So yes, we have our own dynamic, but it's not what everybody thinks. That's all I'm going to say.
It's
Okay,
like when when you have 6 boys and the girl does it, the baby girl is there. She's like a toy, like not a doll, but you're not going to touch her, that's for sure. But the 6 brothers are gathering around looking like, what is this? What is this? I can just see it. It's crazy.
Yeah, Ira, when we used to play, we used to put Susan in a blanket and we would just throw her as high as we could. And it was just great fun because she was so little and so light. And
It was such great fun.
And she never fell off the edges.
Nope.
I mean, she fell off of some things, but not the edge.
I do have
the blanket.
charges that Susan is filing against the two of you for spouse, not spouse, but
Well, look, how
So
many
PTSD
houses?
from getting the wind knocked out of me in Ohio. Go, Bob.
How many houses? Kids from a house have a memory of the mother saying, "Stop throwing your sister to each other."
I have a feeling that Susan is a very tough cookie. Would I be correct?
Yes.
I thought so. Okay. All right. Now I want to take a broader view of the three of you. What impact do you think? Well, let me rephrase it, Your Honor. Why did the group have the impact it did in the 60s? I'll leave it to
Well, I can have
all of you.
I'll go first. This because I was real old then. I mean, look, 17, but you know what I mean. Old in anyway. Look, at the time we were into we had going on a war, Vietnam. We had racial unrest. We had social unrest. We were all listening to the same radio station, watching the same TV show. So we are bonded as a generation. Okay. So acid rock is heavy, Motown at the same time, heavy, but not separately, all on the same stations. And we're all in this together. And I'll listen to a song I don't like till the one I like comes up. Now, it's a heavy, heavy time. There's assassinations, political unrest. Look, it's a mess. Now we come in with the Rain in the Park and other things. As I feel a breath of fresh air, we're an unintimidating family group who love each other and just want to bring some happiness. And maybe for 3.5 minutes, you don't think of the war, you don't think of the unrest, you don't think of and I think there was a response to that. So that's my quick answer.
Paul? Or Susan?
Yeah, Paul.
Either one. Sure.
No, I would go with Bob on that. I think that it was time for something a little lighter. Okay, not less authentic and not less musical, just something that wasn't so heavy. And we kind of filled that gap. And it was a great gap to be in, actually, because we aren't the type of people to go fret about everything. We're just happy and want to have fun.
See, that's the thing. And I wonder, you guys, if which came first, the chicken or the egg. But like, even back then, as we're just even talking about it, I knew as a little kid that when I was up there and doing it, and they were smiling and happy, because I knew what was going on in our worlds, that I knew for sure we were I felt like a USO show kind of thing. You felt like you were a part of the moral, come on, gang of the world. I mean, it felt like that. I know it sounds heady and try and crop it down to an 8-year-old view of that.
Can I make one point?
Yes, Bob.
Can I make one point? Everything we just described is amazing. Is still here today. And now we're here today again, wanting to produce the same thing for everybody. If they want to give it a listen and escape for a moment, we're feeling a deja vu-ness around some of this sometimes about the world we're in and the rhythm of that world.
Yeah.
What a tie-in.
The irony of our coming around this time again with all the same things we just described. And not on purpose. It's just the bus stopped, it opened up and went, you guys are out again. We're like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Timing is everything. Yes.
You know what? You've got to be ready for that bus comes by, and man, 9 out of 10 times it's not stopping. But you need to be ready every time the bus goes by. So in case you get that lucky stop, then you're ready to go.
Paul, you also have to be ready for new technology.
You do. Yes. That's why I'm fully immersed in it.
Yeah, he's actually, I feel Paul has the most hunger, thirst, and therefore new knowledge of it as best he can. Bob just knows it because Bob.
Well, can I wrap it up in terms of Paul, because he's getting a technical. We got a theme with him now, but I will tell everybody, and we're joking and having fun. But from the Valley of Oregon, the Madras area is rising a technical wizard, and that's all I'm going to say.
All right, no, that's fine.
Talk about heady stuff.
Yeah, I should also point out that one last thing about the 60s and what you said, Paul and Bob and Susan, is that it was a contrast to almost all the other groups out there, and yet you're of that generation. And what I mean by that is that there were other groups, and I'll say the one I'm thinking of because it was from an older generation who was also positive, but it was totally unrelatable to the generation at that time, which is Lawrence Welk. In other words,
Yes.
yeah, and but
The light, yes.
yeah, you guys came along and you were of that generation, and yet you're giving a positive vibe.
Yep. Yep. I could go with
And
that.
and the second thing that made us different and differentiates, yeah, we got the mother in the group. But the other difference was that we were our audience. We're them. We're the same age. We're
Right.
going through the same stuff. Everything's, they want to be in our family, and we know enough about our family to tell them, no, you don't. But that's later going to come out later in life. But that was different back then.
Yeah, we stumble on that. We were chatting yesterday with one of our interviewer ladies, and what you'll hear time and time again is that because we're all the same age, the unique and unto itselfness with Cowsills being a rock band and out there in a public thing is we were you guys and you guys were us. Nobody, that was unique.
Yeah,
And it made a
that was a
difference.
point I was making as well. Yes. And how did you make it work from the production side without getting overly technical? It just has a brightness to it, especially the Rain in the Park and other things. It wasn't just the harmony and the singing, but the production.
It
So
was the time.
We had the good fortune of running into our George Mark, quote unquote, Artie Kornfeld, who's going to produce the Rain in the Park and other things. And Artie is going to teach us. The only other person is a guy named Chuck Plotkin later in our life who's going to equal this, but he's going to teach us so much about this business of recording, making records, arrangements. We're meeting Jimmy Wisner. We're kids from 18 years old down, but we're being brought to great artists and great producers and engineers. Brooks Arthur was the engineer of the Rain in the Park and other things. The team we're meeting with are top notch, and we're sponges. So we
All of us.
which leads to all the way to Rhythm of the World. We have brought all of that.
did you notice Bob got that in again?
Yeah, because everything they taught us, if you don't do something, every 2 years, but you do it every 3 decades, when you get to it, all that was in you that you learned that has been stored up gets to come out into one piece. So in that way, it's kind of I think a positive.
Yeah.
So that's what
Absolutely
happened.
It is.
And all of the hits that you guys had were all within a couple of years, which is significant as well. And, you talk to most people, even if they don't remember going to a Cowsills concert, and you have the opportunity to do it this time because they're going to be as I mentioned earlier, at the Golden Nugget Friday, January 27th at 8 p.m. See how I got that in, Bob?
Ira,
You're a pro. You're a pro, Ira.
That they'll recognize, if not all of the hits, they'll recognize a couple of the hits just because they're memorable. And I always ask this of guests who have had hits, do you find that when you do shows that your original fans will bring their kids or grandkids to see the show?
Absolutely.
100%.
We see a young demographic at our show a lot of times,
Oh,
and then
go ahead, Paul.
and we'll do a meet and greet, and all of a sudden we'll be looking to see how long the line is. And then all of a sudden your eyes pick up these young people and you're thinking, oh, they must be here with their parents. And when they finally get to us, we go, what are you guys doing here? And, one girl said, oh, wow, I saw you on a YouTube and then I did a deep dive. And she did, and she had 6 of her friends with her. Hey, you guys got to see these old cats. I don't know how that happens.
And then there, of course, is the generational moment, and that one looks a little different, but they still dig it. But the generational moment meet and greet is the mom; she's on fire, or the dad. You can just see them, and they're our age, and then are their children who are complacently, pleasingly available, or they really dug it. And they're quirky little kids that So every version, but what I think surprises us is these kids that are like, yeah, I saw you on TikTok or whatever. And it's like, wait, what? And it's like, okay. And so you're cool. And there's there were these girls in Branson that were treating us like we were the monkeys. They were so beside themselves, and they're 16.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God, it was so cute.
I think a lot of times these young people hear our music and, even if they don't even know who we are and that we were kids, I think you hear that in the music.
Maybe they
for
do.
somehow, emotionally emoted feelings, of happiness out of a bunch of little kids. So
Well,
it's,
when we're singing those songs, do you feel any different than you did? I
right.
certainly
No,
don't.
and the other thing is we do these songs, our hits, all in the same keys as they were when we were little kids. So that energy, that edge of excitement is still in these songs when we do them at this age.
Do you find that when you perform each of the hits, that the audience immediately in the very first few bars reacts? You'll get either applause or you'll get yelling or you'll get something.
You'll get tears a lot of times. People in that audience are crying because,
Yeah.
the song being the song, not us doing the song, but the song itself remains in their brain from when they were young people. And that song brings those memories back. And so people are really stunned by that's what music does, man. It
Yeah, and
reminds you of a
that's
time and a place.
one of the beauties of the Happy Together tour that we get to go on every summer is exactly that. One of the funnest parts is watching the audience have their moment, because you feel when you're driving in the car and a song comes on, and you're like bawling, you're crying your eyes out, and there you are. So when
Yeah.
you have brought that to them like a gift, whew, that can be very overwhelming for you, the art, because they're like, yeah, it's cool.
Something that I think all three of you will admit to, and that's why I think you have an appeal.
It wasn't me.
No, no. A lot of groups that have been around a while can get cynical, or not even groups, individual performers, groups, etc. They can get cynical, or they can get jaded, or they can just do what they do, but in a very businesslike way. What I sense from the three of you in a genuine way is gratitude.
Good
That's
pickup.
it in the ball right there.
Yeah, that's
what it
Susan's big
is.
word. I mean, that's true. You're grateful for too many things to mention in a situation like this, but that we're even here talking to you, Ira, and I'm looking at Vegas and behind you going there on the 27th is like, is that really true? It's amazing. Yeah, you're very grateful to
Mhm.
have that shot. We're grateful
Every
for what's
day.
going on in our life right now. It seems we have a second shot underway. I mean, it's rare. I mean, Glenn Campbell did it, and other people have
Couple of
done it.
folks.
Tony Bennett, that's the great example there. He
Johnny
did it.
Cash.
We're doing it. Yeah, we're
And
grateful.
we're not, we're actually doing it. And that's the thing too. What is it? Being who we are, and for the first time as adults having the opportunity to see a project through to its fruition and give it all the options of making something, of getting to as many people at least as possible, which we did not have that kind of control. It was just all out there like dandelion things
And,
floating around. Go ahead.
and being able this time to talk to everybody. The last time you're in your house, what are you going to do? Well, you better go to New York. All right, hit the streets. All
Yeah.
right, we get a record deal. Okay, they'll do everything. What
Can't
do
go
we
on
do?
Ed
We make
Sullivan
the
every
record.
night.
Now, and is there an audience out there? I don't know. We better have a concert, and that's all you could do. Now we're talking to an audience right now. It just amazes us.
Yeah.
Here's a very profound question. And feel free to, if you don't know the answer, just to say, you know what, we don't know, or I don't know, because maybe 2 out of the 3 know and the other one doesn't. But where do you all three place yourself and the group in pop music history?
Ira, you silenced the Cowsills.
Oh no, I don't want to go first.
Oh, I couldn't answer that. And I couldn't answer. So go, guys, go.
Yeah, I don't want look, I'll be honest, and this is my honest answer. It's not for us to say. Now, that's my opinion. Okay. Look, I mean, do I think we could be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Well, if I look at it, I go, yeah, what you bring with your story and what you've done with your history, it goes beyond how many hit records did you have in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So I just use that as an example of, do I think we're big enough for that? Yeah, I walk around thinking that. I'm okay with that thought. I don't think it's ego or anything. It's just
Right on.
observational more than anything. So I put us high. I do put us high. Not everyone gets a hit record. I mean, right there, we're up there. Okay. There's only the top 100. There's a million groups. You got to fight for that spot. There's only a top 10. You know, in our day, there was only the top 9 because you gave in to the Beatles. Everyone went to we want a hit for number 2 because the Beatles have.
But there was
you know,
also a finite amount of bands and a finite amount of radio stations
Yeah.
and finite amount of
so
people.
we've done very well.
And it's not just one hit; it's more than one hit. So
Right.
No,
No,
there were
Point it out
more.
in the Hall of Fame. Yeah.
It's
Right,
funny
Paul.
when you go on the Happy Together tour, you have to have 5 hits. If you don't have 5 hits, you are not going to get on that tour. And we were amazed, honestly, to our position in the scheme of things, Ira. Most of the best, not the Beatles and not the Rolling Stones, and you've got those outliers that just keep having hit after hit after hit. But the big acts out there, we've done it. We've counted 4 or 5 big hits is what every band pretty much had. You know,
That
and we
goes
were
from-
right.
Yeah, from
True.
Cowsills to Kinks.
Yes.
I mean, you know.
True. Good
yeah.
point.
And
You,
even
Bob, with the alliteration.
oh, hey, yeah, you're right. And back then, you mentioned a hit. You know, we had 3, 4, 5. We got Love American Style actually got us on the Happy Together tour because we pulled that. Hey, that was ours. So, but you're right. Back then, we had hits every other year because back then you didn't try and milk something for 3 years. If you had a song, you wanted to get into the studio and record it. You know, and so everyone was prolific. It was the candy field, and everyone was loose.
It
in
was
and
what
we were
was
in there
going
too,
on.
holding our own. Yeah.
Any regrets from that period of time?
Oof.
Yes, I didn't go home with Johnny Cash to his house to jam with him and Carl Perkins one time.
I would say that's a legitimate regret.
Thank you.
I'm good.
feel terrible about that myself.
And I was invited by John Cash himself. So
You should have.
Yeah.
I know I
Bob,
should have
my
went. I
heart
was
breaks
19
for
and
you
freaked
for that.
out. Hey, Johnny Cash was 8 foot tall, dressed in black, and next to him was Mr. Blue Suede Shoes himself. And I'm going, I'm 19. I'm a
Yeah,
rhythm
Dad
guitar
would have made
player
no fun
in a
of it.
family
So.
band. I'm gonna go jam with them.
I hear you.
And Minnie Pearl wanted me to come over to her house.
All right, all right, all right.
Before I let the 3 of you go, though, important question. Future plans, and I have a great idea, which is the Cowsills sing hip hop. What do you think?
I can't believe you said that because I was at a event the other night with local friends of mine, and they decided one of my careers could be 60s pop, hip hop.
See, there
Brought to you by.
yeah, great
Yeah.
minds think alike.
Ira,
Not kidding, that
maybe we'll
happened the
put
other
that
night.
right after the Christmas album. We've never.
That's weird.
So, but we'll think.
But no,
about
thank you. I'm good.
I love the Flower Girl. I like to
Dude, it
lay
was
her in the
hilarious.
park.
Everybody started, trying to figure out what they, hair. And then duly noted, one of my buddies goes, well, the introduction to hair is rap. Why I'm a
Right.
hairy guy, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like, point taken. All right. So yeah, no, but
Interesting.
I'm good. I don't need hip hop on my roster. Thank you though, Ira.
Okay, but I think the Christmas album will be
Yes.
a good idea.
Good idea.
Oh, thank you for that.
Yeah.
so
Appreciate that.
we'll all wait for that. And any last thoughts before I let you go? Because it's been a great conversation. But
Have a
just-
wonderful life.
Yeah, have everybody be at the show. Come on, we're gonna have a
Oh
lot
yeah,
of
Vegas.
fun.
Let's do it.
A lot of fun and
Okay,
a lot of
I'm going to mention that again at the end, but yeah, absolutely, because you're going to see them live. Will there be a meet and greet afterwards?
yes, sir.
Absolutely. And we will have Rhythm of the World with us. And by the way, people are asking, oh, are you the Rhythm of the World band now? Look, we do our cover tunes, we do our hits, and we will do a few songs from the album. We're not going to give it to you start to finish, and we're on
Not
the
yet.
world tour with jackets and trucks.
Right.
Not
Okay.
yet.
But we're a band in transition, and we'll get there.
We are, and part of our transition is a phenomenal introduction to our show in Vegas, where I gotta tell you, I was gonna hold it, but I am ziplining into the show.
Love it.
Okay.
Love it.
That's it. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, guys. We were
Like
trying, we
Garth
talked
Brooks.
a little about it. So prepare for that.
It's a great way to leave it.
I see you going back up the zip line, stopping halfway above the audience and singing to Serve with Love, looking down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's a great
Yeah.
way to leave it. My guests have been the Cowsills, Bob, Susan, and Paul. The group will be performing Friday, January 27th at 8 p.m. at the Golden Nugget Las Vegas. For ticket information, go to
Can't wait.
Golden Don't step on my line, Susan. I'm trying to give you information here. Thank you. For ticket information, go to goldennugget.com. And for everything about the Cowsills, go to cowsills.com
.com.
and follow them on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Thank you, Ira.
Thank you, Bob, Susan, and Paul. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, folks.
Bye.
See you next time.
Bye.
You've been listening to Talk About Las Vegas with Ira. Each week, Ira David Sternberg talks with the celebrities, entertainers, writers, and personalities who make Las Vegas the most exciting city in the world.